2002, Bethesda released The Elder Scrolls III: Morrowind, a game that defied expectations, redefined open-world RPGs, and saved the franchise from obscurity. But how did it evolve from the ambitious but flawed Daggerfall? And what role did a young Todd Howard play in its creation? And most important of all, was this game actually good? Or did it just capitalize on a new tech in a growing industry? Hello everyone, Kai Reviews here. Welcome back to this mini-series I'm putting together where we look at the Elder Scrolls, Bethesda, and Todd the Man Howard himself. This is part 3, Morrowind. I was but a wee lass, but I do remember my friend's older brother being excited for and playing Morrowind when it first came out. He got the map and everything. I even played it a bit back in the day, but, well, I was like 8 or something. So all I really did was turn on cheats, kill some guards, steal his armor, and kill anyone who chased after me. Then I found some vampires and killed all them too, and then I pretty much quit forever. What can I say? I was a menace. In my defense, this armor was cool as hell back in 2002. This game is where the Elder Scrolls really became a fun and enjoyable game for most gamers. Gameplay was still pretty basic. You got some spells, you got some weapons, and you clicked to attack stuff. Combat was still pretty bare, yet it was incomparable to the first two games. Then the environment, the world, it's like comparing a comic to an animation. It was night and day. With a full 3D world, you could travel anywhere. Of course, it might take flying cheats. Objects existed in the world as you could travel around them, and they didn't just face the player. NPCs had dimensions to them, as did everything. It was 3-dimensional, and it gave the player a sense of the world that was just impossible before. The RPG mechanics here were improved. Now when you talked with a random NPC, they weren't just a random NPC. What if they had connections to the guards? What if they knew the location of some secret cave, or where the evil gang criminals' hideout is? You had to talk to them and unlock more knowledge as you follow a chain of dialogue. They make it pretty clear when they don't like you enough to talk about something, and that is a depth that I am sad to see it not exist anymore. They kept the option to permanently brick your game. You have to be careful with who you steal from and who or how you kill someone, because sometimes you can't make things right. On top of being able to enter pretty much any building added a layer of awesomeness. Even if it was illegal to enter, you could just pick the lock and steal everything. They added more lore and really fleshed it out a lot, focusing on the continent of Morrowind, the home of the Dark Elves. The main quests and even side quests will have you playing a hero, a cult leader, a mercenary for hire, or even a wise mage. You can do all of them, or just pick your favorites, as this game has over 200 quests, all handcrafted. However great this game was, and it was great, they did, for the first time, cut some things that their second game, Daggerfall, had. Not all of this was bad, but some of it was. First of all, they cut the procedurally generated world in favor for handcrafted. They scrapped the climbing skill, language skills like etiquette and streetwise, banking loans and property like homes, ships, and horses were trashed. Crime system was shortened. No longer did you have a trial, you were just guilty. Morrowind had NPC routines, but Daggerfall did their random walking around better. The cities felt more alive, even if they were pixel graphics. Daggerfall, you could fast travel to pretty much everywhere from anywhere. Morrowind, you gotta find a taxi, like one of those big silt riders or a ship or a teleporter. Daggerfall, becoming a vampire or a werewolf had major gameplay changes with how people treated your character. Morrowind, it's much less so. Character creation system got dumbed down by a little by removing the advantages and disadvantages, though they kept the custom classes, thankfully. Daggerfall had large-scale battles with certain quests, which allowed the player to truly play out their life in another world, even giving orders. Daggerfall dungeons were also way bigger, but let's be real, way more confusing. The improvements to the graphics and 3D world made this feel like a game and not something your friend dared you to play through that barely ran. But they still cut a lot of things just because it was too hard to do or did not mesh well with the world that they were creating. captivating. If the quest log wasn't so hard to read through, I might dedicate myself to actually beating the story here, as it does seem kind of amazing. The continent also feels much smaller. There's supposed to be millions of just dark elves living here in Morrowind, yet the game only has less than 1,000 NPCs for the entire land, and the game is supposed to cover the entire continent. Yes, it is better than Daggerfall, but I can't help but feel let down. It sure didn't age well. With how popular this was back in the day, I was honestly expecting more, but in 2002, this game really was the moon in the night sky. This game was it. This game dared to challenge the formula and created a whole new one, selling over 4 million copies by 2005. It blew other games to almost extinction, only surpassed that year by GTA Vice City. Using new technology really allowed them to make a game for a new era. On top of being 2002, the gaming market was just about to blow up in big ways. I feel like this game was above average at a time when new methods of game making were just taking shape. Because of that, the hype surrounding this title was more than the game actually deserved. But again, none of that mattered. Just like with Arena, they had big ambitions and told a good story in such a way that fans fixed all of their issues for them with the fully supported modding tools. For the first time, the players could add stuff to the game and share with other players. Because of this, all of the shortfalls of the game were fixed by the community, and this is a trend we will see with all future Bethesda games. This was Todd Howard's project, and with the success, he found himself the head of Bethesda.